Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. Back to the apples from Kirby Rosanes' Worlds Within Worlds and more leaves, mostly down the left side of the page to keep me from dragging my hand through the colors. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps keep you informed of when I post new videos, as well as join in on the color-alongs. I have palettes and timestamps in a Patreon post, so go check that out if you want the whole list of colors. And if you missed out on my free coloring page, be sure to check out the playlist and the cards to get that and color along with me. Subscribing is the best way to learn more about freebies like that. I am making my way down the left side of the page to avoid smearing, but it's a little late for that. I begin with a layer of grass green over the entire leaf. I'm working up the small group in the corner and one to the other side of the apple. I come in with leaf green to work up some light shadows that I will use when I come in with sepia. With the sepia, I go through and use the leaf green as a guide. I try to keep the shadows in a little tighter than where I put the leaf green. I can always change this later if I need the shadows to come out further. I use the May green to cover up the edges of the shadows and blend the color out further. I'm using it mostly under the rib lines as the light is coming from above the leaf. The top left leaf is curling up, so I want to get more shading along the bottom of the leaf where the surface would be shaded most. I am now coming in with pine green to fill in the tiny bits of leaf poking out from the top of the leaf edge. I also just fill in the other leaf, as I am assuming this one to be the top of the leaf, and as such it will be darker. I do try to leave a highlight down the center where the light, in theory, would be shining the brightest, washing out the color. I go back to the other leaves with the permanent green olive and fill in more for the shadows. I am filling in the paper and moving out the blends a little more. On the top leaf, I am giving it a layer over most of the leaf. For the leaves showing their bottoms, I want to give them a covering layer with May green to darken them slightly, but mostly to fill in the paper and give them a slight yellow cast that the May green brings. Time to add in the rust spots, and I am starting with the terracotta, going around the little imperfections on the leaf edges. Not too far out, just close to the line. I then come in with a darker terracotta to make the very edge near the line art darker. Then I blend out the edges with light yellow ochre and add a yellow cast to the edge, like the leaf is dying from that point. I touch up with more terracotta, then I bring in the dark Naples ochre to touch up the yellow edges. Back to the green. I come in with leaf green to add more layers to the top face of the leaves. They definitely need to be darker. I build up the layers gradually. Now I use pine green to go darker, working carefully around the spot where I think the highlight might be. I add in some permanent green olive to blend out and add more layers to darken the top of the leaf. Back to the pine green, as the green still isn't dark enough. I'll keep building up the layers to get it where I want it to be. The pine green is slightly the wrong shade for what I want, which is another reason I have been blending in other colors. I want a more yellowish leaf, but the top needs to be dark. I come in with more sepia to add to the shadows. I fill in the highlight with some light green to keep it from looking too white, then go over it with ivory to blend it in better. More pine green to blend in with the sepia and to keep building up the darkness to where I want it. I'm going for contrast at this point. I added more permanent green olive to try to give the leaf a little more of the yellowish tint, then touch up the other leaves. A bit more sepia to darken, then I blend with more May green. Back to the permanent green olive to touch up shadows along the vein, and these leaves are finished. If you've made it this far and have enjoyed coloring with me or just watching, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a like and subscribe to stay informed of when I post more videos. It really helps me out. Starting a new bunch of leaves, I'll still be working them up in a similar fashion. I start with a base layer of the grass green over all of the leaves in this group. This just covers the white of the paper, begins filling in the tooth, and helps other colors stand out a little more. The shadows seem to make more sense on a background than on a totally white project. With the permanent green olive, I begin blocking in the shadows on the leaves, along the ribs and veins, and where one leaf overlaps another. Some is defined by the liner, while most is not. Now I bring in the sepia and really begin to darken the shadows. I don't have to go out as far as I did with the permanent green olive or hit every rib or vein. With the May green, I go over the shadows, blending the edges out and adding in a covering layer over the leaves. This gives the leaves their slightly yellowish cast. Now with the pine green, I can darken up the darkest shadowed areas, and any leaves where the top is showing. I am again leaving an area for a bright highlight where I feel that the light would be washing out the color. Back to the permanent green olive, and I try to fill in more of the paper as well as touching up shadows and blending on all of the leaves. More sepia to darken up the shadows and get the contrast higher. Most of the color is down, but I use such light layers that I will have to go through and add more layers to darken and fill in the paper. I bring in more terracotta to work up the rust spots a little more. A little more yellow ochre to blend out the edges. I don't need these to stand out really bright, but I do want them to be a little visible, a small detail mixed into the whole picture. I touched up the highlight with some leaf green as it was very bright, so I knocked back the brightness just a little with a light layer. I blend out the edges with some permanent green olive. I add in some light green to fill in the tooth of the paper without darkening the highlight too much. It is still bright, but that might be because it is a little too big. More sepia for the shadows. I follow that with pine green. I want them darker to contrast with the highlight, which should probably be a little smaller. I take the pine green down the side of the leaf to shrink up the highlight just a little from the side, especially since this side, at least, would be curled under and away from the light that would form the highlight. I blend out that side with leaf green to make it better match. More pine green followed by the dark green as I tried to get the green darker. I also blend out the edges with the dark green. More sepia as I go through and touch up everything. I come in with the dark red to really darken the darkest shadows on the leaf, as the red will desaturate the green and make it appear darker. I cover the red with pine green to help it blend in more. More light green to add another layer over the highlight, followed by the ivory as I want to fill in the tooth of the paper and get the highlight blended out. I used more pine green to touch up, and that is another set of leaves finished. Thanks for joining me today. Let me know below or on social media if you colored along. I'd love to know how you did. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, and Patreon. Patreon has a short write-up, my palettes, and a list of timestamps that I've made available for everyone. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes, as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of my affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining in with me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. Please like, share, and subscribe to help that happen. Until next time, happy coloring!